Your experts today are our Westernacher colleagues, Matthias Platzer, Practice Director of Yard Logistics Europe, and Mark.mrosek, Practice Director of Business Planning and Analytics. Without further ado, I'd like to hand over to my colleague, Matthias.
Hi. Have a look at the agenda for today. First of all, an introduction with the yard information gathering, then the yard dashboard itself, KPI dashboard at third in the agenda, then why using SAP Analytics Cloud for that, and then the key figures and roles and responsibilities at the very end. I think we just quickly jump into the topic of the yard information gathering. So what's that all about? Yeah. Actually, what is yard logistics? Yard logistics is a process management system. So your physical processes of the yard are reflected in the system, in the solution, to just manage the operations, yeah, to steer the processes. Yeah, these processes are reflected by tasks, by activities, by sub-processes. Of course, all those tasks, yeah, would have timestamps and the actual timestamps locked throughout the operations. So this is actually where we start. Everything is locked in the solution itself. Yeah, I'm always telling my clients, this is SAP. SAP loves data. Everything is locked, everything is documented. This includes also the users involved in the process and exceptions. Yeah, so you have all this information, all this data already by hand after you implemented yard logistics. So why don't you make use of this data? It's not just about this current process control. It's all about establishing the process intelligence, and you can do this easiest by also leveraging SAP Analytics Cloud for this. Yeah. So with all this data locked throughout the operations, you would have them later on in reporting. Yeah, and this is actually then your basis for the process improvement or even just the process control. Yeah, take back the control over your processes by making use of this data gathered throughout the operations. What is the use case for the dashboard? Yeah, we are just looking now on our solution. This is Westernacher Insights, coming from the history, yeah, from the traditional reporting. Yeah, we often see this manual reporting in various types of yards, whether it be a port, whether it be container terminal, a railway terminal, or just truck yards. Yeah, there's often just a manual reporting in place at the very point in time we are starting with the implementation. And often there would be different data sources. I once experienced a port where each and every terminal would collect the data itself, yeah, and then transfer it to a centralized reporting. Of course, these are different data sources. Every terminal would gather the data differently. This would lead to different results in the end. Yeah, and the traditional reporting has also one big downside. This would be the weekly and monthly cycles, because this is manual. You cannot have it online. You cannot have it all the time. You would actually need the data. You would need to rely on this weekly or monthly cycles. And of course, it's a lot of effort to have this traditional reporting in place. Yeah? If you have this automated data gathering, and if you're using an automated reporting like our Westernacher Insights here in this example, you could transform into a live control center. So everything is responsive and automated. So there is actually the first benefit. You would really just make it more efficient, your reporting overall in your whole department, yeah, in your whole company even, yeah, and it would be online and with a single source of truth, because yard logistics is then the source of all data gathered. There would be just a single source. There would be, of course, comparable KPIs throughout your yards or throughout your supply chain execution. And of course, it's proactive. With traditional reporting, you would need to passively be informed about deviations, about process steps that are not used at full extent. With a live control center, yeah, there would be a proactive reporting, meaning the system itself could raise alarms, or could raise an alert, or could even trigger follow-up actions already to react on exceptional situations. Yeah, it's all about getting control over your processes with this automated monitoring and reporting. And I think, yeah, Mark, I hand over to you to introduce the KPI dashboard in detail.
Yeah, thank you, Matthias, and thank you for everyone joining this webinar today. So why do we use SAP Analytics Cloud for such a dashboard? Well, SAP Analytics Cloud is positioned from SAP as being the one reporting and planning solution with a perfect integration into all SAP modules so far existing. And with SAP Analytics Cloud, you gain many benefits that you do not have with a different solution, where you might think, hey, why not building such a dashboard in ClickView or Power BI? With SAP Analytics Cloud, you can integrate across multiple systems, so also across multiple yards. It has all interfaces set up that these can be directly linked. And of course, SAP Analytics Cloud runs on the HANA database. So you will make use of this high performance that HANA database offers to you. And everything runs in the cloud. So basically you do not need any servers and so on. And as well, all modern reporting systems, it's meant to be self-service and easy to understand. Yeah, almost like Apple products, easy to grasp, touchscreen friendly, so you can take it to your tablet, smartphone, any device basically that you can think of works on this. And it has great collaboration features that we will also talk about in a few minutes. Let's now look more what the dashboard on SAP Analytics Cloud offers to you. Well, first of all, it starts all with an overview page. And this overview page is really meant to bring the status of your yard in a nutshell. All important KPIs, the most relevant KPIs to see what the status is if you have any issues, all on one screen. And it focuses, of course, on your inbound and your outbound processes. And by using thresholds, intelligent thresholds that work like a traffic light system, you will directly see if you have any issues or not. So your identification of problems is basically in real time. Yeah, and this is something that you have done not so far, because you've either had past data, so outdated data. Now you have real-time data. In the split second that you look on your screen, you see what is currently going on in your yard. And of course, you really can make use of the data that you have in your dashboard and drill more into it and get more information about it. And for this, we come to the next slide where Matthias will show you how our dashboard not only focuses on individual KPIs, but on the whole process.
Exactly. So this is our first example, a very simple example of one process in the yard. Let's look on the process first of all with the different steps here. So the first step would be, of course, the arrival of a truck at the yard and the check-in, done by self-check-in. Step 2 would then be the door determination with the exchange to warehouse management and the cargo availability in the warehouse. So preparing actually the cargo for being loaded. Next, step 3 would be the in-yard routing, the movement of the truck from the check-in area to the warehouse door itself. Yeah, and of course, after that, step 4, the loading is commenced directly at the warehouse door. So warehouse people are actively loading the truck at the warehouse gate. After the loading was completed, there would be the move again from the warehouse door back to the checkout area, with the in-yard routing. And step 6, the final step in our example, at the departure gate, the truck checks out and leaves. What does the total of this gives us. Yeah? So as you see, since every duration is captured in the system, we would have the total time on site. End to end, yeah, we would see the total time of the truck on site in the yard, yeah, which would give us, of course, the average time on site per time period. Could be per hour, per day, per week, per calendar week, and so on and so on. So whatever you want to compare, yeah, it would be possible to calculate this in the system. But this total time on site, so this big key figure, also includes several other KPIs and several other key figures just to be logged in the system. Yeah. First of all, in step one, we would also see what was the booked time slot of the arrival of the truck, yeah, versus the actual arrival time. So we would have a direct comparison in there. With step two, you would see the number of door activities per door per time period. So it could be per hour, per day, exactly. Yeah. The next thing, the movement, yeah, from check-in to the warehouse would give you the task duration. In this case, the yard movement duration, which also gives us then the opportunity to just leverage on the key figure of average movement durations on the yard. Loading, of course, this is also in combination then with the warehouse, the loading time. Yeah, what is the average loading time? We can also differentiate here between loading and unloading, for example. Yeah. Then once again, the movement to the checkout would give us once again the in-yard routing duration. How long does it take an external truck to get from the premises to the checkout lane? And of course, then in the final step, after the final step, we would see the key figure of total tons outbound. So what was actually shipped from the yard throughout the day or throughout the time period. And yeah, I would suggest, okay, enough of the theory. We should go directly into the system and see the first example of the KPI dashboard. So I would hand back over to you, Mark.
So this is the screen, the overview screen. And Matthias, please jump in if I miss important parts here. So as said, this is basically the starting point to see how are you performing with your yard. You see in the middle, basically, how are the trucks that you expect for the day? How is your yard doing? What trucks are delayed? Which trucks have been checked in? Are currently loading, have already checked out, but also what is still to come. So how much more work do you still need to handle? You also see right away how the utilization of your yard is. So right here with 73%, we still have a bit to go to be on the good side. Yeah, 75 is our threshold here. So I would say, Matthias, we could do a bit better. We see on-time arrivals. That's not a good value, right? So we would hope here that the trucks would be more on time. Looking at inbound and outbound tons, we can see that we are doing worse than yesterday, yeah. And versus tomorrow, we are also doing less. So we hope that we will do more by tomorrow. Outbound wise, we are good compared to yesterday. So we have improved, but our plans are more sophisticated for tomorrow. So let's see that we can deal with this.
And now I'm going to jump in. So what does this data give us already? So when we see on the left-hand side, this overview, you would directly see, okay, what is the performance today? So what actually happened? What is still to come? Yeah. So with these key figures, we can already react. If we see the percentage of on-time arrivals today is not good. Yeah. So we can directly look into that. What happened? Why are the on-time arrivals decreasing from yesterday's performance, or why are they under the threshold? What are the exceptional situations causing this? And then we can react to this. Yeah. Also in the system, there could be the workflow designed, yeah, that with this threshold exceeded, there could be the follow-up or the follow-up question, tasks or sub-process could also be triggered directly in the workflow in the system. Yeah. So what you see here is, first of all, just the information. Yeah, just information of performance. Yeah, but on the with the next steps, you can also configure the system to react autarkically, yeah, autonomously and automatically to this. Yeah, so this would be the left hand. Yeah. Let's look for the right hand side, Mark.
Yeah, absolutely. So with our time series chart, you see the last 24 hours where how our time on site is doing. Yeah, so inbound and outbound wise, you can compare this. And again, you have a view today versus yesterday and today versus tomorrow with regards to the trucks and the door activities. And we also compare versus yesterday our yard movements. But that is of course not all. This is just the overview. We have also, and that is what Matthias was referring to, the details.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Could we just see the filter on the left-hand side once again? Because now we have everything here, yeah, and we could really narrow down our selection to certain loading points in the yard, yeah, to see the single data for one or several loading points to identify problems there. Yeah, so we can have very detailed insights to our operations in the yard. Just for you to know, this is possible. Sorry, Mark, you can now.
No worries. Thanks. And if you want to have more information on your on-time arrivals, right? Because Matthias said, well, let's see what actions we can derive out of this. Of course, there's more information to this, far more. So first of all, you have a list of your carriers, yeah, and you can filter all the KPIs on this screen per carrier and can see how the individual carrier is performing. You then see per carrier the on-time arrivals, how much or how many routes have been rebooked by the carrier, how many arrivals have been rejected, and you can also see in general the rebook rate for the main carriers that you have and the subcontracting rate, because that also gives a very well indicator if you have a lot of subcontracting on the performance of these carriers. Yeah. Let's just check this out for C star, and you will see that C star is very good on the on-time arrivals, yeah, performing very well, but rebook rate, not that nice, yeah. And rejected arrivals, we are orange, yeah, so also not here doing so well. But with regards to time on site per month, we see, well, we have improved in the last month, and we even have a forecast that was calculated by the machine learning to see in which range we will probably be in the next months. Yeah, and that one we can even do on a day by day perspective. Yeah.
And you really need to see this is per carrier, yeah, meaning the system logs this per individual carrier, and you can narrow it down to the key figures of this particular carrier. So you would always be in the picture what the performance is for certain carriers. Yeah, and keep in mind this is the carrier on site in the yard. Yeah, so we are really focusing on their operations, on their pickup times, on their delivery times in the yard. It's not about the transportation today. Yeah, this is just about the yard. Yeah, the in-house yard routings.
Exactly, and especially I need to stress this. Yeah, also here you can see the machine learning capabilities from the HANA database. Yeah, having this all calculated and forecasted in real time. Yeah, based on your past actual data. This is a great leap forward for you to see what you can expect from the individual carrier or carrier groups for the next days or month to come. Yeah, so that is a great strength.
And once again, sorry, can you just one additional remark? This is now the example of a truck yard where we look into details of truck carriers. Of course, imagine the possibilities of this with a port, with ocean carriers, for example, with the machine learning, with the forecasting in the port operations. Yeah, just keep that in mind. This is a very basic example. But the possibilities, of course, are bigger than that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Already looking forward if all the cranes are tracked in real time. Now let's have a look at the door activities. Yeah. So here we can see our loading and unloading times, the average value. Door activities in general for our warehouse are not that good. So here we need to look into this. We can also see this for the last 24 hours, yeah, how we are performing. So around 11, we have like a peak, and then at 9 in the evening, again, a peak. But for example, at 10, we had a huge drop. Yeah, so here we definitely need to see what happened there. Also, with regards to the unloading times, again, we have this on a day-by-day base or for the last 24 hours. And well, if you would like to look not on unloading time, but loading time, we also have this. Or if you would like to choose the pickup and loading time, we can also look into this. And again, here you can filter it by loading point here. So not necessarily you need to look at your whole warehouse, but look at the individual door.
And with this example, why we are using loading points would reflect different type of cargo. Yeah. And as you see here, this is the monitoring, the reporting when you directly have a look. Yeah. But the system, and let's stress this again, also automatically alerts you if something happens here. If the loading time per day increases, yeah, for a certain loading point, there would be an automated alert to a certain user group by mail or directly in the system, just for everybody to know, okay, let's have a look there. There is an exception. Something is happening with this loading point. Something must be a problem there. For example, the machinery broke down. Yeah, the unloading facility broke down. Something like this. Yeah, this is all with this online monitoring, with this online reporting. When you directly have this data in reporting once it was it was executed, yeah, outside in the yard. And this is a major benefit, yeah, to not have to wait for this for a certain time period, like a week or a month, yeah, directly have it at the time it happens.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And of course, we can also have this information available for the handling equipment. Yeah, so everything here, again, in real time, you see how your shunters are doing, the average time that your shunters need. You see the movements that you have today versus yesterday, and also what was planned or not planned. Yeah, so what came up that you did not make plans for. So also here you see that you can improve. Yeah, we have already improved a bit, but there's still something that we should look in. And again, we have the last 24 hours to see how we are doing.
And in this example, we are looking at the equipment, the shunters. This could also be used to monitor certain crews in the yard or certain staff crews, for example. Yeah, just to see, okay, what is the performance, or where do we have deviations from the planned, the planned values for the day, yeah, or the planned operations for the day.
Mm-hmm.
This was a quick example on how does it look like in the system. We'll just go back to my screen here. So this was a quick example on the KPI dashboard. How does it look like in the system? A look and feel, yeah, you could say. Let's go to the key figures again, just as a recap, what we just saw. Yeah, there would be the key figures just for the yard. Yeah. The yard KPIs that shows the yard performance. How do we do that? Yeah, we always would have the planned capacities, versus the actual utilized capacities. For example, how many time slots are provided, to the external carriers, and how many were used for the day. And this would give you the yard performance. This would give you the yard performance in comparison to the total quantity, or to the total volume the yard could handle per day. But also, not only looking just onto the yard. If you combine these yard KPIs with the results from transportation and warehousing, you could directly visualize end-to-end performance of the supply chain, and you would get more and more control over your processes. You would get more and more evaluation results and information on this. And one example here would be what we saw before, would be, for example, the rebook rate, or the still expected arrivals for the day. So this is all in combination with transportation, for example. And warehousing, one example here would be the door activities and the average unloading time, for example. So this is also in combination with the warehouse staff, with the warehouse department, to have this in place. And it does not even end there. I know in this slide it's just mentioned the yard and the end-to-end performance of the supply chain. Of course, you can combine this evaluation results also with data from accounting, or from controlling, and etc., etc. So the combinations, there are a lot of combinations to leverage in the future. Let's put it like this. So coming back to the KPI dashboard by Westernacher, what did we just see? The analyze. Each tile has a detailed view, each tile that you just saw, and the granularity, of course, can be defined on time by the user. So you can zoom in, zoom out, and you can just change the granularity of the data to your needs. And this allows to react correctly on the accepted situation, even by some suggestions from the system, for example. And of course, it leads to less overhead communication. You don't need to send out a report at the end of the week. You don't need to communicate to each other, or to hold meetings, to just go through the latest data. Everybody would just have access to this information with their tablet, with their smartphones, or on their desktop PC. And of course, this also gives you the advantage that you can build on the experience that you already have with the dashboard, and further improve the situation. And once again, these are our example views that you've just seen. First of all, the overview, with just the latest or most important KPIs throughout the yard, and the carrier analysis in combination with transportation. You would see the performance of carriers, or could also be external contractors, could be external operators of transportation, for example. The door utilization, the KPIs with the in combination with the warehouse management system, with the warehouse staff, and of course the handling equipment, with the insights to our yard's internal performance. How does the equipment, how does the staff perform per day, per time period? All right, I'll hand back to you, Mark, the roles and responsibilities.
Thank you. So we've talked now a lot about gathering information, analyzing information, but what happens if we exceed those thresholds that we have defined, and how can such a dashboard support you? So the basic questions that you ask yourself when you exceed a threshold is who, when, how, and how do you collaborate? So who do I need to inform? Who needs to know that we have exceeded this threshold? When can we have a solution in place that fixes what we are encountering right now? And how can we learn from it? What can we do in the future to do better? And this is all about the collaboration, to share information and use this in an efficient way. And that is where our dashboard and SAP Analytics Cloud can help you with. So what you will see is, Matthias, could you move to the next slide?
Yes.
That is a built-in functionality from SAP Analytics Cloud. It's very easy to attach comments, messages, chats to a data point. So here you can directly collaborate with someone in the system and also document this for learnings later on. You can schedule meetings, send out reports right away when you see that you need to inform someone. You can do it via PowerPoint, PDF, you can export the information to Excel. And of course, the greatest benefit, even if you are not in the system, you will be informed because you can set up notifications that will inform you automatically if you have reached a threshold, be it beyond or beneath. You will get informed and asked for action. And that really allows you to be fast and proactive because you define the thresholds individually and you do not need only to react when everything is already in a critical status. You can already start reacting when it turns out to become critical in the near future. So with all this, having a centralized tool that gathers all necessary information for you, you will not need to coordinate all this communication and you can really interact in a very efficient way. I hope, or we hope, that this was very interesting for you. And yeah, we are looking forward to your questions on this. Perhaps before we open up the question session, let me also point you to our LEAP event, which will take place in September 22nd. This event will be about resilience and sustainability. There will also be a slot where I think, Matthias, do you also have a slot?
Not for the moment. I'm not scheduled at the moment.
Not for the moment. Definitely, I will be there and we'll talk about carbon footprint monitoring, simulation and planning, and also how this interacts with financial planning. It's a virtual event or on-site in Heidelberg. Either way, we would be very happy to welcome you with this. I think it's very worthwhile to attend. So now we are up for your questions.
Are there any in the chat made?
The first one, how does it take to implement Yard Logistics Insights?
Okay. Oh, maybe this is a question to both of us. So before you implement insights, you of course need to implement the solution itself, Yard Logistics. You need to first of all have this solution in place to have all this data logged in the system. And yeah, let's put it like this.
The dashboard itself, well, in principle, you can say it's about 4 to 6 weeks for the standard set that we have shown to you. Yeah, of course, all KPIs are predefined. So it's just importing the transport and then setting up the story with your own corporate design in SAC. But in our experience, most customers also have additional KPIs that they would like to see, or slight adjustments, additional reports where they would like to have perhaps a very detailed table to see about some rejections, for example, per carrier, and so on and so on. So this is something we can implement, and then the total implementation time, including definition of the additional KPIs that a customer would like to see, takes about 10 to 12 weeks.
Yeah. All right. And another question?
The second question, I think Mark just answered that. If we can add custom KPIs, that was exactly what you just said. And the last question I got here is, can we integrate third-party data, for example, like from the train operator to the dashboard?
Okay, this is a question that for me, of course you can. First of all, this data feeds into Yard Logistics itself, so to the to the yard management solution, and then later on into the supply chain analytics. So this is possible, yeah. So, and this is how with the question before, when we are going to create individual KPIs, this would be exactly the same with this third-party data. Of course, we need to integrate this third-party data because this is part of the process. Of course, it needs to be part then later on in reporting. So yeah, no worries about this. Everything is possible there.
Absolutely, and I can add. So if a customer decides not to integrate the third-party data into Yard Logistics, we can also use Data Warehouse Cloud as an intermediate step to take data from the yard and from the third-party systems, merge and harmonize this data, and then bring it to the SAP Analytics Cloud. So there are several options to cover this.
Thank you so much for attending. Yeah, you can always reach out to us with additional questions. You see here our email addresses. Just give us or drop us an email. Yeah, if there are further remarks or questions from your side. And thank you so much for attending. And yeah, have a successful day.
Thank
you very much. See you next time. Bye.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.